Just a second. I'll pause that. So that's a second. So we're recording officially, as described before. So welcome to the Customer Service Masterclass. My name is Dave Holland. I'm going to do a quick intro about me, where we're based, what we do, give a quick flavor for the type of experience we have here. And then I'm going to take through three key areas of what dictates excellence in customer service, why it's important, how we can achieve it, and where we should start within any organization. So if you have any questions as we go along, again, please, there's plenty of time for questions. The more questions that anybody asks, the better. It helps me to guide the conversation to suit you. Please put it into the chat box and I'll respond as we go along. So a little bit about me, just a quick intro. I don't know whether people know me or have heard of me at all. Very likely not, unless you're on LinkedIn connected with me. I'm an engineer by background, spent time working alongside, not within, but alongside British military, small arms, weapons, cannon, that type of thing back in the early 80s. And then into logistics, packaging, distribution. That was where I cut my management, operations management skills in my career. I actually ran then a dressmaking business in London. We were making ball gowns and dresses and suits for Latin American and ballroom dancers worldwide. Number one in the world of what we were doing, dealing with top professional and top sponsored couples and amateur couples as well all over the world. We had our own company based out of the middle of the UK, a transport distribution company. And also we worked out of Las Vegas. We took our business over there in the coaching and training business. And also we ran an aviation company based out of Heathrow. So my background is very, very broad. We've lived and worked internationally over in the US, the UK, the US, and now we're based over here in France. So I've been around a little bit, if you like. As a coach and a trainer, we've been in this business now this is our 20th year. The last two have been very interesting during COVID, as it has for everybody, I think. But we've been in this business for 20 years and a lot of experience with clients, big clients and small clients as well. So hopefully I can add some real quality and value to the conversation today around customer service. Where are we now? Well, this is a map of Europe, or this part of Europe, if you like. We are here right on the German border by Saarbrücken, a little town called Saarlouis. We're in France on the German border. Our offices are in Luxembourg, just outside Schengen on the border with Germany. And we have offices over in the UK in Swindon as well. And to date, we have clients in 34 countries. And the clients that I work with, so we can give a perspective on customer service, they could be large corporates based out of Luxembourg and London, or they could be smaller SME type companies as well. The challenge for SME type companies tends to be, of course, that the customer service is delivered by one or two people and is very, very people focused. The challenge, however, for larger organizations, I find this with the larger clients in Luxembourg, is how do you get the philosophy of customer service, regardless of the sector that people are in? How do we get that philosophy across to people who are very broadly spread, large organizations, different departments, different divisions? How do we deliver customer service excellence when the organization is very large as well? So we'll be touching on maybe more the large organizational structure. That's where I find there tends to be slightly more challenges, more opportunities to improve levels of customer service. Having lived and worked over in the USA, of course, which is probably the center of excellence of customer service arguably in the world, I've seen what customer service can look like, and I've got some stories and some examples to give you around what world-class looks like from an American standpoint. The challenge with the USA, of course, I'm sure my American friends won't mind me saying this, is it tends to be have a nice day. It can be a bit false, a bit sugary sweet. It's a bit too much sometimes, but there are a lot of core principles within the US that have trickled across to the UK and Europe and Australia, this sort of thing that we can pick up on. So the USA has got a very high customer service ethos, if you like, which I think is good. They're known for it, hence very successful companies. And there's something we can all learn from that as we go along. Not just to have a nice day, but other things that go with it as well. If anybody on the conversation has been to Luxembourg, you know what customer is like in Luxembourg, customer service in Luxembourg. It's hit and miss. It really is hit and miss. We live in France. We love France. Customer service in France, hit and miss. It's either really, really good or it's really, really bad. And it's probably 60% bad. And what I mean by that is non-engaging, not helpful. There's no real support, there's no flair, no dynamism to it, no personality. And that's a shame because it affects lots and lots of companies. So what we're going to look at is how do we bring customer service excellence to any organization. Now, when I'm talking about these are generalized principles, they may or may not apply directly to your organization. But as I go through some of the principles, anything that crops up that you'd like to sort of not challenge me on or ask any details about, please put a post into the chat box and I'll pick up on it and go from there. So first of all, rule number one, there's a number of rules for this, if you like. I get asked doing what I do. I had a call come through just before Christmas from an organization actually in Luxembourg. Doesn't matter who it is. And this lady said, look, she said, we want to improve our customer service delivery for our people who are working with our customers, our clients, the sharp end, as she called it. Can you come in and work with them and teach them how to deliver good customer service over the telephone or face-to-face? I said, well, yeah, of course I can. There are tips and tricks we can do for what I call tactical customer service. How do you treat people when you phone back? How do you word an email? All this sort of thing. Absolutely, there is. But I did say to her, well, what is your philosophy around customer service as an organization? And she said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, is this something that is just built in to the DNA, to the organizational structure? Is customer service really at the center of your operation, of your vision, of your culture? Or is it just something that people at the sharp end do? And she said, well, we don't do any of that. She said, we just have a customer service team and they deliver our customer service. We are in this XYZ sector, but they deliver the customer service. And I see this a lot. Now, I'm not suggesting this applies to anybody on this training here at all. But what I find a number of times to watch out for is that service has to be built into the structure of the organization. I use the word the DNA, the fabric of the organization. It can't be something you just bolt on. You can't just train your customer service people and say, right, go and deliver customer service, because it doesn't work that way. It has to be the whole organization has to be fully geared towards delivering customer service. In my experience, I mean, I'm in the coaching and training business. I have clients in the financial services business, in the franchising business, and accounting, all different sectors all over the world. And what I say to them all, I think this applies to all of us if we're in business. It doesn't matter what your product or service is, we're actually in the customer service business first. If we're not in the customer service business, then really we're going to be out of business, because we are dependent on the goodwill and the feedback and the notoriety that our clients and customers give us. Therefore, we've got to be in the customer service business first. So service is built in, not bolted on. It really has to be. And what this means is that before any organization attempts to just improve customer service, look to the boardroom, look to the management team, look to the directors, look to the shareholders, look to the senior people in the organization, and they need to be the people that are going to lead this through, because if they're not consistent with it and they're not congruent with it, it simply won't work. Because at some point, somebody will want to do something that's going to be great for a customer, and the accountants are going to say, no, it's not in the budget, that's not whatever. They're going to kill all this sort of creativity, innovation, and risk-taking that unfortunately great customer service entails. It needs people to have a bit of freedom and independence, as we're going to look at later on. So it's built into the fabric of the organization. And I actually had this conversation with the lady in Luxembourg, and I said, look, I'm not sure. I said, I can go and deliver a workshop for you. I'll work with your team happily. But unless the organization is geared that way, you're wasting your money, because they won't be able to do the things I'm going to teach them. They won't be able to do it because you'll tell them they can't do it, or the accountants will get involved, or whatever it is, and there'll be no credibility behind the training. So we're still discussing. I'm sure it'll be fine. But service is really a consequence of everything else. And when I say this, I look at customer service training and development and this type of thing. I think it's a mistake. I might put myself out of business here a little bit. I think it's a mistake only to do the back end, just the customer service bit, because it's sort of too late then. Customer service is an easy, gentle consequence of strategy and tactics and principles and passion and vision, all these sort of things go into any organization. If you get that right, customer service looks after itself. It just does, because people are thinking the right way, they're trained that way, they're recruited that way, they're managed, the leadership is that way. And you can tell when people are enjoying what they do in a freedom of spirit, in a customer focused way, because they just treat people better. We've all experienced excellent customer service in an organization. We've all experienced bad customer service in an organization. And the difference is, it's how the people treat us. It's very rarely systems or product. Not the product that delivers customer service. Very rare, because even if you buy a car, let's say you buy a car, the car goes wrong, which happens, they're mechanical, they do go wrong. If it's fixed properly and the people are looked after under warranty or whatever it is, if the service is good, the product is almost secondary. I mean, almost secondary. It's got to be excellent, but the customer service experience is what wraps around the product. So if your product goes wrong, you can catch it by having great customer service. It can also, even if you've got a fabulous product, but bad customer service, then the product gets tarnished by that same sort of experience. You've got to be very, very careful with that. And of course, as we'll touch on later on as well, we're in the social media, TripAdvisor world right now. If something goes wrong, everybody knows about it. If something goes right, well, a few people will, but if it goes wrong, people tell just about everybody. So we've got to be so careful with that. So really, service is a consequence of other things. This is a key, a mindset. It's not, service is not the target, service is the outcome. We have to create the environment in which service is delivered, which sounds a little bit sort of counterintuitive, but what I mean by that is we start at the front end and work our way through. I remember going to another organization in Luxembourg, and it doesn't matter who it was a big bank, but it doesn't matter which bank it was. Walked into reception, and it is huge, a huge reception area. It's all, Italian marble and oak, and there's lights and LEDs. It's an amazing, amazing place. 2 or 3 people sat at the reception desk. I walk over and introduce myself. I had a meeting there to deliver a workshop. And the guy behind the counter, very, very efficient, this sort of thing, took my details. And behind him is a poster on the wall. And on this poster, it says, it's like our culture and values. There's a big, big poster in big ink, all laid down, and somebody has signed the bottom of it. The big wax seal on the bottom as well. And I said to this guy, so that poster behind you, this culture statement. He said, "Oh yeah." So he said, "Well, what is it? What does it mean?" And he said, "I've no idea. I've no clue. Just something that the management team, they put there. They're in every big room, and they have to have them put up there, and they get dusted every couple of days or something like that." I said, "Well, what does it say? What does it say?" He says, "I've got no clue." No clue at all. Now, here's the real challenge for people in business and management and leadership, is that putting up the the values, the mission, the vision, the culture, the whatever it is we want to call these documents, and we go, right, we've got it. We agree to the management team, the management meeting. They go, right, here's our value statement, and let's put it in reception so everybody can see it. Fantastic. But nobody buys into it. It's not real. It's not true. It just becomes a poster on the wall if we're not very careful. And I do see a lot of organizations, they have a great idea. The principle is right. They have an idea about vision and values and culture. They put a poster on the wall, but they never communicate. They don't live it. They don't bring it to life within the organization. That's a real key. So we'll touch on that as we go along as well. So service is a consequence, not a poster. It's an end result. It's not, it's going to be built in, not bolted on. So this next picture, excuse me, is a picture. Sorry, Lynn, my wife, my boss. We are business partners over here in France, and so we were over in the UK about 2 or 3 months ago. So somebody has just dialed in, so I'll just let another person into the group. So welcome. We have started, but you're very welcome to join. Just a quick refresh. Any questions? Please type it into the chat box, and I'll respond as we go along. I'm going to have a break around halfway through. So this is my wife, the little person there in the red coat. It was freezing over there as well in the UK. This is Blenheim Palace. Beautiful. I mean, it's a fabulous, fabulous stately home in the middle of the UK. It's a British English palace, been there for donkey's years. We went to visit there, and we took our new grandson there with our Richard and Polly, our kids over in the UK. When we got there, and we were expecting this to be a fabulous day out. And it was, the Blenheim Palace is a big resort, it's an amazing place, incredible. When we got there, however, the people, there were two types of people who were working there. There were a lot of youngsters working there, sort of the teens, early 20s, who've been drafted in from college and university, I guess, and working weekends, make a bit of extra cash. And the other people who were working there were all the old age pensioners they brought out of retirement to help out a little bit. And it was really noticeable in the difference in the level of engagement and eye contact and support and service that these people gave. And I have to say, unfortunately, that the younger, exclusively, pretty much the younger group, there was no eye contact, no smiling, no engagement, no conversation. There was nothing, no warmth, nothing at all. When we got some of the older people who were working there, and we're walking around with a grandson in a pushchair, and when somebody, if you've seen anybody with a baby, you're going to say the baby's cute, aren't you? You're just going to say that. And the conversations we had with this older generation were much more open. Hi, how are you doing? Where are you from? Where are you visiting from? What are you doing? Are you down here for the canteen and get a cup of coffee over there? Much more engaging, relaxed and bright. And the challenge really is, and there's no difference particularly between the generations. I don't believe it's a generational thing, but it does come down to training and the spirit of the organization. And unfortunately, Blenheim Palace, I think, fabulous as the place is, they missed a few beats there because the actual experience of this amazing place was not good. And we called it the Working Dead because some of the people walking around, they're supposed to be helping and supporting people, were literally like zombies. There was nothing there, no engagement. They sort of clip your ticket and walk you in. There's nothing, no response. It was as if they were dead from the neck up to a certain extent. But a lot of organizations do that as well. When you deal with them, not just retail, but whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a bank, whether it's a financial services sector business, we have to have people at every level of the organization able to deliver the promise. Customer service starts way before a product is purchased or way before a service is experienced, because it's how people meet and greet, how they see you on social media, what they say before you buy a product or whatever it is, anything like that. Everybody is engaged and involved in the customer service experience. And again, maybe I need to go to Blenheim Palace and offer them some tips and advice. We'll see what they say. We'll see what they say. But how does this show up in business? How does this manifest in business? Where so what? So customer service isn't great. Well, so what? What are the benefits of having good customer service? It's been shown, and this is the log is in here. The root of the information is on the slide. You'll get a copy of the slides. I think Becerra will send those over for you. Is 85% of people working in organizations are not engaged with the organization, which this is horrific. Now, whether that's true, this came out of the USA, whether that's true, whether it's for everybody else as well, whether it's true because of COVID or other things. But even if 85% is overstated, there's a lot of people who are going through the motions. They're there, they're turning up for work, doing a job, getting paid, going home. And those sort of people are the working dead, if that makes sense, because they don't particularly want to be there. They're doing it, they're grudgingly doing it. They're not going to be all sparkly and bright. If you can tell if somebody enjoys what they do, they're passionate about it, and they want to make a good impression on you, it just shows through. This doesn't matter whether you go to a coffee shop or you go and get a loan from your bank or sort your mortgage out, whatever it is you do, you can spot people who are engaging and enthusiastic. But 85% of people are not engaged with the leadership of their organization because, again, the leadership is lacking in some area. 81% are considering leaving or changing jobs or changing career. We had this thing through and post-COVID, the Great Resignation it was called, and it is beginning to show up a little bit. People have expectations now of organizational quality and career and development, but people aren't really engaged. They want to leave. Now what happens is, if you get people who are engaged with an organization and they understand the vision, the values, the culture, the spirit, the objectives, and they can buy into it and they feel they can support it, those organizations get 21% higher profits than those that don't. This is one of the things about getting a team to buy in, the whole team to buy into the customer service ethos. 21% more profit when you get higher engagement. So it's a leadership challenge here for us. 400% plus growth in a thriving culture. I see this in day in, day out. Growth is the key. Growth is all about spirit, engagement, service, trust, reliability, all to do with that. That's where growth comes from. It's what our people say about us, not just when your team and your employees, what they say to your clients when they're on the phone or they're in a room or whatever it is they're doing with them, is what they say about us when they're in the pub, in the restaurant, talking to their friends. I remember I was flying from Luxembourg to London City in the UK. And it's about a 25-30 minute flight, little tiny, horrible aircraft, little tiny aircraft. And I'm sat, obviously strapped in. It's a 2x2 little propeller aircraft. And I'm sat, and the two guys behind me work for a big bank in Luxembourg that I happen to know, it doesn't matter who they are. And they're both talking about this one particular manager they've got, about how bad he is and how he treats them, what they don't like, and what they're going to do, and all this sort of thing. And I had a very high perspective of this bank in terms of reputation. Hearing these two guys talking, it was like, wow, there must be something wrong inside that bank, because this is how they're feeling and talking. So the brand and this customer service or customer perception is not just when they're delivering a product or a service, it's everywhere. It's what they put on their Facebook page, what they say when they're talking to their friends and clients and customers, what they say when they're sat on a plane somewhere talking about their job, their role, their boss. When they got off the plane, behind me, they got off, and I said I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Why don't you leave if it's that bad? The way they were describing it is horrible. So why don't you leave? And they said, well, because they pay us well. Well, it's like, crikey, if you've got people who are just there as mercenaries in your organization who don't like it, they're not engaged, considering leaving, but they don't because you pay them well, not hardly surprisingly, when they're with your clients and customers, they don't care, and therefore that'll show up in how they deal with them as well. So high growth from a culturally strong organization. This is part of this first rule, if you like, of getting the customer service right. And 37% of people in organizations, employees and team members, prioritize recognition over pay. They'll go for recognition first. And this just could be a simple thank you. It could be an award. It could be status. It could be whatever it is. You don't have to just pay people to do this. Good people, when they buy into a cause, will deliver fabulous customer service because it's part of their spirit as well. And if they're rewarded and acknowledged for it, you don't need to pay them more money, particularly. That's always there's a balance there. But reward can be recognition. Reward can be just a thank you. And you can see this that happens when you say thank you to somebody in your team. Good job, well done. That was great. Really appreciate that. That was fantastic. They go, oh, that's great. And they rise. They stand taller. They just do. This is why it's going to be built into the leadership structure of the organization as well. So there's some interesting stats, but growth is a key one. Higher profits are a key one. That's why it's so important. In terms of a leadership perspective, this is the model we're going to sort of run through to a certain extent as a reference point for us, is this Benison-Nanos leadership process. So number one, develop a clear and understandable vision for the organization. So what is the vision for your organization? The vision for our organization is on all our documents. You can see it on the bottom of the PowerPoint slide I'm referring to over here. And the vision is to enable everyone to enjoy learning, achieving, being, and doing more. Everything we do points towards that. Everyone, to enable everyone, anyone in the world, clients in 34 countries, all this sort of thing. Enjoy. I want people to enjoy the training. I want them to enjoy what we do, have a bit of fun with it, learn lots of cool stuff, say nice things about us, and away we go. And then go away and use it as well, achieving something, doing more with it, and achieving some bigger, higher goals. So what is the organizational vision? And if I can have a look at your websites, maybe, and this sort of thing. What is the vision for the organization? We have to be really clear on it. It has to be something that is engaging and pulls people along with you. What's the vision for the organization? And then, as social architects for the organization, change the culture. It's all about culture. It just is, because the best systems and structure and procedures and processes in the world aren't good enough to deliver service. They're just not. It has to be the people. It's people who deliver service. These systems don't deliver service. They can support service, but fundamentally, at some point in the value chain, a person turns up, has a conversation, makes a decision, pushes a button, or whatever it is, we're in the people business. So social architects, how can you engineer organization? And I've got a model we can work on that specifically in a second to help out. Create trust throughout the organization by making explicit their values and views. And this comes down to not just a poster in reception. This is to make it actually part of the conversation that is built into the organization. And it goes right to the chair, to the CEO, if you like. They have to buy into this. I know we worked with a company in Luxembourg, and I'll mention them because they were fabulous. It's called M7 Group, and a financial services company. Went there to do a workshop, and it was to do with customer service and vision and this type of thing. And Lynn and I got there early. We got there about 8 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock start. And the deal is we get there nice and early, get set up, get all the screen working, all this type of thing, grab a coffee, get settled down, and away we go. So we got there at 8 o'clock, and by about 8:15, we couldn't figure out how to get this huge screen to operate with all the audio, couldn't figure out all the plugs and the wires. And a guy walked past the door, and he saw sort of me on my hands and knees underneath the desk, this type of thing. And he looked at me, he said, you doing okay? You coping all right? I said, absolutely. He said, we're okay, but we can't figure out how to get that screen to work. He said, oh yeah, I know. He said, he disappeared, came back with a little toolbox thing, came in, got some screws out and wires and things like that, and fixed it, got it all working for us, plugged it into our laptop, and away. Life was good, excellent, amazing, saved the day. Then he came back 2 minutes later. He said, can I get you guys a coffee? Coffee machine's down the corridor. Yeah, our cappuccino. But anyway, 2 coffees turned up, had a little bit of a chat with him. Thanks for your help, always great. And he wandered off. And he's like a polo shirt and jeans, wandered off. Anyway, start the workshop, all was good, always very good. And by about 10:30, we're going to have a break for coffee. This guy turns up again, walks in just to say hello to the organizer, and he sort of put his hand up and said hi. I said, oh, hi, thanks for your help earlier on. They had a conversation, walked off, and the lady came over, the organizer. So he said that was our CEO. Crikey, the CEO of the organization walked past. He never met us before. We're just two trainers in a room, and the way the spirit of the organization was, he just went, can I help you? Yeah, absolutely. He made us a coffee. There was no ego, no status, just there to help. And you know what? That gave us a real image of, I know what we're going to find when we work with that organization. Because if the CEO is like that, guess what's going to happen with the directors, the managers, the team, the supervisors, everyone in that organization has a key leadership role there. If the CEO behaves like that, I guarantee everybody else will. If the CEO doesn't behave like that, I guarantee nobody else will. And this is really this trust throughout the organization, where it has got to be part of the ethos. And it comes down to, how do we sell the dream to people, if you like? It has to come through from every level of the organization. So strategy 3 is creating trust throughout the organization. And strategy 4, identify their own strengths and weaknesses and encourage their followers to do the same. This comes down to putting the right people in the right seats on the bus. Make sure that people are aware that there's some things they're really good at, some things they're not so good at. There are some people, for example, who are just naturally gifted with people, face to face or on the phone. They love speaking with people. Others, they really don't. Well, we can train people and guide them, help them and support them. But if you expect maybe a highly technical introvert type person to be very bubbly and bright and vibrant, enthusiastic with people on the telephone, then they're not going to, I don't care how we train them. If their personality doesn't fit that function, that role, then they're not going to do it. We need to find the right people. And we're going to touch on personality a little bit later on as well. So there's the process to go through, but it does start with this vision for the organization. So how leadership manifests itself in a company will be based on this. And I have an ebook that describes this this process, this method. Sarah, I'll have the ebook, and you're welcome to have a copy with our compliments and have a look at it. So if you imagine your organization is in the structure of a pitch, a sports pitch, this could be a football pitch or a hockey pitch, whatever, football pitch, let's say, and the boundaries of that pitch are these lines, and the lines are defined by 4 key things. One is the vision of the organization. Where are we going? Why are we doing this? What do we see as important to us? What's the vision? What's it look like in the future? What's our vision? That needs to be really, really clear for everybody to buy into. The second boundary is the mission. How do we get there? It may well be that your organization has the same vision as my organization has got, but how we get there is going to be different. You may be in the manufacturing business or the healthcare business or whatever business it is. It doesn't really matter. How you get there is the mission. We've chosen coaching and training as our way we're going to do it. And we are really clear that we want to be the world's best at what we do. We want to be ahead of the game in terms of our delivery, our reliability, our trust, and our content and our structure, such that people go, wow, that was great. That was a really good training. That's a really good coaching session. And that is our mission, to be the world's best at what we do. And yours will be the same, but different. So vision and mission are two key areas. And then culture. How do you treat each other within the organization? What are the rules of the game? And we have a set of rules for how we engage with people. For example, and Becerra will know this of me, timekeeping is one of my key ones. I am always, and rightly so, always on time. I mean, I don't know what it is to be late. Even if I'm late for a meeting, there's something wrong somewhere. And if I'm late for a presentation, then that's not okay. So timeliness is one thing. And I hope the people that we work with, they recognize that. If I say I'm going to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, I'm going to be there 5 to 2. At least I'm going to be there. I guarantee I'm going to be there. But what is your culture? Is it written down? What are the rules of the game? How do you define how you treat each other? And there's lots of examples of these out there, but they tend to be very, what I would call wishy-washy. They're not clear, not distinct. So what is your culture statement? How does it show up? What are the rules of the game? And then finally, obviously we have a legal framework within which we need to operate. That depends on whatever sector you're in. If you're dealing with a big bank, financial institution in London or Luxembourg, highly compliant with the regulators, for example. We've got to stay within the rules. And in every business sector, there are rules and regulations we have to be compliant with. But within those 4 things, the vision, the mission, the culture, and the legal framework, within those 4 areas, if I'm an employee on one of your team, when I go onto that pitch for you, if I know the vision, the mission, the culture, and the legal, when I'm on the pitch, I can do what I like. I can go within that framework. I can make some freedom of choices. I'm going to be creative, make some decisions at the front end, provided it suits the vision, the mission, and the culture, and it's legal. I'm going to do it. And this is where it comes from. We went to a local supermarket, or Lynn went to a local supermarket here pre-Christmas. And the shops are busy pre-Christmas. Everybody's really, really busy. And Lynn was in there just getting some provisions for over the Christmas period. And I think she bought it. That was a joint of, I think a joint of ham or something like that. And it got to the checkout, and there's people everywhere. And the barcode was smudged on the product. So when this lady put it through the zapper, the reader, it didn't record, it wouldn't register it. And so she sat there, and there's a queue building up here. And our trolley was full as well, full of stuff. And she said, she said, I've seen you here. You shop here every week. This is regular. She said, look, it's going to take me longer to sort this out. She said, so what I'm going to do, have it without compliments. Have it without compliments. I don't know what it was worth. Let's say it was, I don't know, 15 euros, whatever it was, 20 euros, whatever it was for this piece of ham we were having. But that, to me, it wasn't the fact it was free. It was the fact that she went, you know what, we love you, we trust you, have it, away you go. Now, is that okay from a supermarket perspective to do that? Strictly from an accounting perspective, now, of course, it's not ridiculous. Of course, it's not a good idea to do that, because you're losing money, you're losing margin, it's whatever. All the accountants love all this sort of thing. Not okay. But occasionally, from a customer service perspective, is it okay for somebody to go, you know what, we're going to do this for you. We're going to make this happen. We're going to do that. We're going to upgrade you on your plane to business class. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. That's where customer service hits the road. That's where the experience really begins. Now, I'm not recommending or suggesting that you have to give stuff away to all your customers all the time, but we've been here for 12 years right now. That's the first time in 12 years, I think, that this supermarket, and it's the Leclerc supermarket at Creutzfeldt, just give me a little bit of plug there. First time I've ever gone there, and they've given us something, unusual. Well, over the 12 years, I don't know many hundreds of, maybe thousands of euros spent with them, but what they've all automatically done, they've built our sort of trust, likability, whatever. I'm a raving fan of them now. It cost them 15 euros. That was just a very nice touch. We did a post to them on their Google page, that type of thing. Fabulous. So when you get an employee out there that really is delivering the customer service at the sharp end, they need to know where on the pitch they stand. What degrees of freedom do they have? What's it okay to do? What's it not okay to do? What can they say? What can they do? What can they flex? How can they make someone's day? We stayed in a hotel chain called the Ritz-Carlton hotel chain, went to some conferences, and we were at the Penalonga resort in Portugal, which is a fabulous golf resort. And the service there was excellent. I mean, fabulous. Service was excellent. And I spoke to one of the supervisors there and said, look, this is great. It's noticeable compared to other hotel chains. The service is really good. Everybody seems happy and engaged and this sort of thing. And she said, well, what we do is we give everybody, from the guy who cleans the rooms to the guy on reception or the gal running the department, whatever it is, everybody can invest in the customers. I said, what do you mean invest in the customers? She said, well, if they think that it would be a nice touch to upgrade your room or something like that, or to leave a bottle of wine in your room, or to something, or to comp you a drink at the bar, then anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. If they think it would help make your day, they've all got a bit of a budget, and they can, within that framework, they can make, and this happened, not every day, but people would say, we come back from the room, they've cleaned the room, and a couple of times we were there, put a little voucher on the pillow or something, and just say, complimentary cocktail in the bar from between 5 and 7 o'clock. Costs them nothing to do that, but they look for excuses to make people's day. Now, in the teams that we tend to operate within, in corporations and business, how many people have you come across when they're actually looking for ways and reasons to make your day for you? Because when they do, it stands out. It just stands out so much. It's almost unheard of. It's unique, pretty much. But this is the way that it makes a difference in people's lives. This is how customer service really shows up. So it's vision, mission, culture, and legal, and then within that frame, on that pitch, they can do what they like. You've got to let them have that freedom and independence. There was a classic story here, I think it was FedEx over in the US, where their vision was get it anywhere by next day 9 o'clock or something like that. And apparently, so the oil fields are over in Alaska, as a guy wants to get a component to Alaska, and he wants to get it there before 9 o'clock the next day. And of course, FedEx can't get it there. There's no way they can get there. No planes going there, not to Alaska. So what this guy did, he chartered a jet. He chartered a jet to take this component, and it cost him like 20 grand to get this component to Alaska. And he did it, he got it there. And of course, that on paper is ridiculous, because that should have been a $150 shipment, and it cost him 20 grand. But the client was desperate, needs to get there as a safety issue, all this sort of thing, and they spent 20 grand to get it. Now, when they look at FedEx and say, well, yeah, that doesn't make sense from a business point of view, it absolutely does make sense from a business point of view, because number one, it doesn't happen every day, otherwise there is a problem. But secondly, he made the client's day, he kept the promise. If you make a promise in business, and the promise comes first and profit comes second, and that's just the way it has to be. Sometimes you're going to lose, but 9 times out of 10 you win. That's just how it goes. So give people the freedom and the independence, set this framework for them, and allow them that freedom to choose and make their own decisions and have that creativity and freedom. So that's how that can show up from a leadership perspective. In terms of some materials for you to consider, this fabulous book, Reinventing Organizations, Frederic Laloux, a Belgian writer, and it's really how organizations have adapted and changed to become better, from a cultural point of view, employee engagement point of view, and also a customer service perspective as well. But then customer engagement for the employees probably comes first before customer service gets better. You can't do it the way around, because your team are delivering the service. So what they look at is different styles of company, different styles of organization, and they call the first one is red type organizations, which are gangs, power, fear, and chaos. We did some work when I was over in the US looking at gangs and cults. How do they operate? This is how they operate: power and fear, dictatorship, high level of consequence, do what you're told or else. And there's real, it is like some sort of street gang. I'm not suggesting a lot of organizations work that way, but some managers and leaders do. Some managers and leaders within organizations have this red approach. You do what I tell you else you're fired, and it's my way or the highway. All this sort of cliche rubbish comes out. If you have a red style organization, then you expect people to deliver excellent customer service. It's not going to work. So watch out for red. Then we have amber, stability and control, typically like government departments where everything's very regular. In France, we have a fabulous civil service. Government department is everywhere. And so everything's very stable, very controlled, very slow, very clear. Now, there's a place for that. Absolutely, there is a place for that, but it's in the government. When you're a commercial organization delivering a service, you really can't just have stability and control. You need to do something a little bit different. Then we have orange. This is back in the 80s and 90s, competition and profit. The corporation was born, if you like, or geared up for this. And then we had people who were measured on performance, had bonuses, and we had commissions, and we had targets and KPIs and OKRs and all this sort of thing. So I compete with each other. That's good. But then really, if you're competing on, you're going to go for budget, you're going to go for bonus, going to go for commission. If your focus is commission and cash only, guess where your focus is going to be when you're dealing with your clients and customers? It'll show. You know what it's like. We all know what it's like when somebody tries just to sell us stuff, short-term transactional relationship, get the order, get the deal, get the cash, and off you go. It works in the very short term, but we're in the long-term relationship business now. We can't afford to be in short term. So orange really doesn't work. It does, but not completely. Then we have green. This is the client focus and values. This is where the entrepreneurs came out, and what the smaller companies said was, look, we're not going to focus on our clients. We're going to focus on our values and our core principles. This is getting much more contemporary now. Small organizations have no choice but to do this. My company, there's only 5 of us in my company, and 2 of those are dogs. So there's only 3 of us in real terms. We have to have a complete focus on our clients, our values, our mission, our culture, our service, our reliability, our trust, and our relationships, because it's all we've got. And I absolutely implicitly trust other members of my team. If they speak with my clients, then I know what they're going to get. They're going to get a high response rate, warm, friendly, engaging, and nobody's ever going to have the phone hung up on them. We don't have arguments. We're good people to do business with. We have this green sort of mentality, if you like. And when it comes down to how do larger organizations respond to this, because it's harder in a large organization, then we're into what's called teal. And in the book, it describes this really well. It's purpose, but self-managed. Now, this is a big shift. Now out in the marketplace, there's a big shift. There's beginning to come through, certainly in some of the more enlightened organizations in Luxembourg, Frankfurt, New York, London, for example, and it's spreading. And what I mean by self-managed is where the hierarchy is secondary. So the hierarchy builds the company, builds the team, builds the vision, builds the values, and then they step back and let people go and deliver it. Go and off you go. Do what you think best. Now that's a very hands-off approach. It's a high risk with that, of course, as well, because if you do that too soon and you take your hands off the wheel, it'll go off all over the place. So you have to be real careful with it. But I do recommend the book. It's a sort of a separate subject in its own right to a certain extent. If you go on to YouTube, you can see a company called Morning Star. If you just Google or put into YouTube Morning Star, the tomato processing company over in California, there's a video describing how they manage their organization. And anybody, it's amazing what anybody in that company they can spend money, they can hire people, they can agree their own pay rates, their own holiday entitlements. It's very much hands off. They trust the people to go and do the job to the best of their ability and for the best for the organization and for their clients and customers as well. And the central function, the management leadership function is gone from management to leadership, and the two are distinct. If you hire management, micromanagement, details and structure and numbers and reports and KPIs, all that sort of thing, you need some of that. Absolutely, you do need some of that. If it's too tight, people can't choose. You would never get the free thinking customer service approach, the FedEx $20,000 to Alaska type approach. You won't get that if you're micromanaging your team and threatening them with KPIs and numbers. It has to be more of a freewheeling effect. And this is part of the sort of the structure, the strategic leadership challenge for any organization. But even in our company, our team, anybody in our team, and we have other people that are dotted around us as well, they can decide what they want to do. I was delivering a webinar earlier on today, and Lynn came in and she said, she did me a quick message, I need your signature. I just come and sign this thing. I think it's over 10,000 euros. I've no idea what it is, no clue what it is, what she's done, but she just spent 10,000 euros. It'll be fine. I don't know what, but we have to trust the people doing the right thing for the right reasons, the right suppliers, right for the clients, for the good of the organization. I don't have to check it. I need my signature. I'm the director, all this sort of thing. Bang, away we go, done. Now, to get to that point is strategic leadership. And that's where the customer service delivery will absolutely transform, when the strategic leadership is strong and relaxed, if that makes sense. Strong with vision, strong with culture, but relaxed in terms of controls. That's where customer service flows along. I remember when we lived over in the US. I don't know if anybody on the call has been to the US at all, but anyway, been to the US. We lived in Las Vegas, which was like living on a movie set. It was ridiculous. But the levels of freedom and independence that some of the people had there in organizations. For example, we wanted to go on a New Year's party at the Bellagio. It's a very posh restaurant hotel on the Strip, and Lynn said she fancied a new dress, new frock for the occasion. So we went out pre-Christmas, went down to Nordstrom's, which on the fashion show mall in Vegas. I went down there looking around, and this guy came across and said, can we help, all this sort of thing. Anyway, so we did, and Lynn picked out 2 or 3 garments and pair of shoes, all this sort of stuff. And the girl said to her, I said, well, what's the event? What, these are fabulous dresses. Is it a party you're going to? What's these? And she said, oh no, we're going to a New Year's party. It's going to be on the 2nd or 3rd of January. So I want to come and get it now so we don't get caught in the rush. And then we're ready to go for the party. And this girl said, let me tell you, said, look, choose the dresses, choose the fabrics, choose whatever you want. She said, but don't buy them today. Okay. She said, because we've got a sale starting on the 31st. So if we lay them aside for you, we can get you about a 30 to 40% discount on these products, because you don't pay for them now, you pay for them in the new year, we save them for you and you get a discount. Wow. Now with a discount of 30, 40%, I think Lynn got a couple of dresses and a pair of shoes. What was going through Lynn's mind? What was going through Lynn's mind? Was it, that's a big saving, or was it, well, let's get another couple of dresses then? So what we did, we spent more money as a transaction, because I think Lynn got these 3 dresses, 2 pairs of shoes, whatever, some stuff, and that was worth more than the 2 dresses she would have got had we not had the sale on. So is that good business? Is it good business to do that sort of thing? I think it absolutely is. 2 reasons. One, because the sale value went up, they got more money from us basically by putting it aside till the sale kicked in. Secondly, I tell people about it. Now, when I'm doing these stories all over the world and I go, Nordstrom's in Vegas, this is what they did, people are going, huh, if we go to the USA, we'll go to Nordstrom, see what happens. It was fabulous. So good news spreads. When you do these sort of things, it's got to be good for business, but good for reputation as well. Word spreads throughout the social media, whatever it is, it spreads really quick. So it is a very good thing to do. So look at Morningstar and the Reinventing Organizations. I recommend it. Some great ideas in there that will enable the customer service to be a consequence of your leadership. So I'm going to have a quick drink of water, but any questions so far, please just type it into the chat box. I'm conscious I can talk very fast and for a long time. I want you guys to get real good value. Are there any questions? Just please type it in. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water. Okay, now I assume no news is good news, so I will carry on. So some reference materials. This book is a fabulous one on customer service. It's got fish. There's lots of videos and things out there. This is a story about the Seattle fish market, where the guys over there decided, rather than working in a cold, it's smelly fish market, which is what they had to do anyway, they transformed it into a customer service focused organization, which transformed their business and transformed the results. How they did it was absolutely what we've gone through here. They made some decisions, they changed their culture, they changed their approach. Fabulous story. And if you want to share these tips and ideas with your team, this is a great way to do it. So the fish book, fish video is very, very good. Andrew Barnes, the 4-day week. How you manage your teams will dictate how they respond to you as well. And one of the movements that's coming through now, certainly from New Zealand, where Andrew Barnes started this, and through COVID as well, into the UK, Europe, and America, the 4-day week, flexible working from home. Do we need to be more flexible? Do we need to lead our people in a different way post-COVID? Hopefully, as we sit here now into the middle of January, the COVID numbers, they're not good, but they do seem to be peaking. And I'm hopeful this year we'll get back to some sort of normal in terms of travel and business. We'll get back into normal swing of things. And maybe it's time to review how we manage our people, how we engage them, get them to like what they're doing, and give them that freedom and independence. Maybe things like the 4-day work week or working from home or flexibility could be interesting. That's another one if you're in that strategic management role, certainly want to have a look at. And then reinventing organizations. Those would be three pieces of material I would sort of recommend you have a look at if you like as further reading. The reason for this is because basically people buy people. It doesn't matter what company you're in, what organization you're in, people buy from people. When I do sales training, I know it's not sales training now particularly, but the question I ask people is, do people buy on logic or do they buy on emotion? And if you speak to a room full of accountants, for example, and I love accountants, but they will say, people buy on price. They buy the best, the best they can. They buy the cheapest. They don't. Very, very few people buy the cheapest. They just don't. They buy the experience, they buy quality, they buy value. They buy on 80% of it is emotional purchase. 20% is only logic. It has to be a good product, but logic, emotion stacks up. And if you think of the biggest decisions we make in life, from the house we live in, the clothes we wear, to the person we live with, these are big decisions. Now, anybody on there listening to this, if you're married, I've been married for 36 years this year. My goodness, every day's a joy. It'll be about 36 years. Now, getting married, is that a logical decision or an emotional decision? Is having children, we've got 2 boys, both fabulous. Is that a logical decision or an emotional decision? Well, getting married, not logic, is it? It doesn't make sense. Why would you do that? We met when we were 13 years old and decided to stay together for life. There's no logic in that. That's ridiculous. Logic says you sort of shop around a bit, you do what you got to do, and then at some point we didn't. We emotionally said, that's it, we're going to stay together, and we've been together for a long, long time. All good. But this is what happens in business as well. Decisions are emotionally based, not logic. In fact, if you don't engage people's emotions in terms of relationship they have with you, that could be trust, enjoyability, reliability, whatever it is. If you don't have the emotional aspect, they will use logic, but logic comes down to price. Logic comes down to numbers and structure and tangible evidence. And that's okay, but we don't want to do that. We want to shroud everything we do in an emotional construct. Is it good fun to work in your organization? Do I enjoy trading, transacting with your company and your people? Do I look forward to the day I speak with your sales team or whatever it is I'm doing? How do I engage with your organization? What's the emotional construct? It doesn't mean everybody's got to be everybody's best friend, but it has to be an emotional construct to it. And that's where it comes from in terms of people buying people. And to do that, personality is the key. As I said before, if you have somebody who's an introvert, a technician introvert, and you put them on stage to go and sell something to people, or to be the person who's on the shop floor or doing the negotiation with people, maybe, or whatever it is, they're not going to do it. It's an unfair position to put them in. Can you train people to do that sort of thing? Yes, you can, but basically you need to look at their personality as well. So we look at and this, if you look at your engagement with your teams, your people, customer service and otherwise, or deliverability, is personality. We use the DISC profile. There's lots out there. It's just for a discussion point, if you like. But personality is based on 4 key attributes according to DISC profile, and I'll run through them in a second or two. But we have the D, I, S, and C, and it's dominance, influence, stability, and compliance. And this report, which look, if you go onto Google and go, free DISC profile, you'll find some things you can do, and you can do your own DISC profile. Gives you a personality report on yourself, but understanding people's personality is really key. What I find a lot, and this classically happens when people are maybe promoted within an organization, for example, and you get the best accountant in the world and then put into a leadership role, leading a team of 50 people. Well, that may be the best thing. That some accountants are fabulous leaders, but some accountants aren't. Some lawyers aren't, some technicians and engineers and medical practitioners aren't either. The best medical practitioner doesn't mean they're the best leader, because they don't have the personality for it. So you have to look at putting the right people in the right places. And we use this, and it's an interesting one to have a quick look at. I'll describe it briefly, and then you can make your own mind up. But certainly, if you've got people within the organization where the jobs and the roles, the expectations placed on them don't match their personality, there's going to be tension there. It doesn't mean they can't do it, but there's going to be tension there. Where you can, you want to have the right personality in the right role, in the right situation, within the right organization. So this is how this personality profile looks. So we have dominance, influence, stability, and compliance. And we'll use me as a quick demonstration. It produces a graph and a chart you can have a look at. So for me, am I high dominance or low dominance? Well, doing what I do, I've got to be reasonably high dominance. If I don't sound confident and clear and concise in what I'm doing, and I sound knowledgeable, I use the word sound knowledgeable, but if I don't sound knowledgeable and confident, you're not going to listen to me, you're not going to believe me, you're not going to take any notice of what I'm saying. So I have to be reasonably high on the dominance level. Being a coach, working with senior executives and business owners, it's a rough and tumble game out there sometimes. These are strong characters, and I have to be not strong with them, but I have to be able to defend myself and my ideas, and be able to have a peer-to-peer discussion. If I'm very weak and soft and not dominant, they will win. They will, they're not taking notice of what I'm saying. So that strength of personality, that dominant streak, is very, very powerful. So I have a high dominance in my personality. Other people don't. You may have low dominance. There's no right or wrong, but to do what I do, this is the personality that I need. In terms of influence, that is the sort of sociability. Am I good with people? High on maybe the emotional intelligence line. Am I good with empathy? Can I read people? Am I good with people? Am I okay around people? Basically, am I a people type person? Doing what I do, I have to be a people person. I may be speaking with people, on a Zoom call during the day, doing a group call, maybe on stage, speaking a workshop, this with you guys. I've got to be, at least like being around people and like being engaged by them and participating with them. So that's a high I. So I have high I is on my profile as well. Now S is for stability. When I showed my slide, the reason I did this at the very start of the workshop about the different experiences I got, went from rockets and guns to packaging to aircraft to dresses to coaching. It's like, what sort of career is that? That's mad. Because I don't have a high need for stability. Being an entrepreneur business owner, I need to be good with risk. I need to be able to be good with change. I need to be good with uncertainty. I need to be able to create my future, not have it laid out for me. So my level of stability is low. I don't need stability. I don't particularly want it. I feel trapped by stability. If you said to me, you've got a job for the next 20 years, that would scare me to death. Other people, you say to other people, okay, well, you've got no guarantee of any work at all. You've got to go make all your own clients, get your own customers. That would scare them to death as well. No right or wrong, just fitness for purpose. So I'm low C. And compliance, yeah, I'm about sort of halfway. Compliance means rules and regulations. I'll follow rules and regulations and structure and detail. Those are sort of things that I appreciate. I do. It's not my favorite subject, but I'll go along with it. I'm an engineer. I can work my way through a spreadsheet and that sort of thing. And I will follow rules and regulations to a degree. So to do what I do, that is the perfect, well, I'll say perfect, a pretty strong profile. And guess what? Now, I don't know whether it was I gravitated towards coaching or coaching gravitated towards me, but what I found is in the last 20 years, hence I've done this for 20 years now, it suits my personality. I appear to be reasonably good at it. I enjoy it. My clients enjoy it. They get great results. Something's working. So that is my personality. And when you look at you people in the team that you've got perhaps, and they're either in customer service or sales or marketing, whatever it is, technically competent is one thing, but personality competent is another thing as well. If you want people to be able to deliver the customer service you want, check on their personality, because they may have all the ideas, but if they haven't got the personality to carry it through, they will need, it can be done a lot of training and support and things like that. There are naturally gifted people that are maybe slightly more okay with customer service, customer facing type roles maybe than others. So check on the personality of people as well. If you have somebody like this, now if you're in the financial services sector, I'm not sure if you are or not, or in a large corporate, financial services sector tends to attract people with this profile: high S, and highly compliant, not particularly high I or lower on the I, not particularly sociable, outgoing, and not so much on the dominant scale either. These would classically be technicians, lawyers, accountants, people who are very, very clever, very, very bright, absolutely, but they want stability, they want predictability, they don't take risks. They don't want to take risks. They want things to be guaranteed for the future. They want detail and structure. They want evidence and detail. Now, they will then make fabulous accountants and lawyers and compliance managers, for example. But if you take one of those people and say, okay, now I want you to be lively and bright and engaging, free thinking and risk taking with our customers, that's tough. Not in their DNA. They'll say the right things, but they won't actually enjoy it, they won't live it. So when you're looking for people who deliver these type of things, look at the personalities, look at the style, look at their approach, look at how they're showing up, and then you can train people, of course you can, but personality is a key driver here, key driver of personality. Again, you can look at it on Google, DISC profile. You want any questions on it, you'd be welcome to email me. I can point you in the right direction. What I'll do, I'll send a copy over to Becerra as well, is that there's a DISC report, a dummy DISC profile report I'll send across with the ebook. You can see what a report looks like. If you think it will be helpful for you, then please go and search out and use it and see how you get on. So any questions so far? Any questions? I've covered quite a bit of ground. This is really the first step now, the first of 3 steps, which is it's the organizational structure. It's about leadership, it's about vision, it's about people, and the strategic leadership framework in which we're going to enable customer service to be a consequence rather than the other way around. But any questions at all, please just type it in. I'm going to grab another quick drink of water. I'll have a break, another sort of 15-20 minutes, a natural break, and then we can kick off again. But I want to move on to step 2 in a second or 2. Okay, I shall take no news as being good news. So step 2. There's two reasons to do customer service. One is because it's good, you look after your clients and your customers, but it can actually become a real USP. If you think about a lot of organizations, not the organizations that are listening to or watching this, but customer service on average is pretty weak. It's not difficult to make a difference out there with customer service, whether you're in the healthcare business, whether you're in the banking business, the car business. Being good at something, you soon step out from the crowd. You can make it into a complete USP, unique sales proposition, to differentiate yourself in the market. If your customer service is truly unique and excellent and consistent, people love it, you can put your prices up. You can get more margin from it because people they trust you, they like you more. It's a very good business model. Don't just do it for the sake of being nice to people. Fundamentally, strategically, make it as a USP. And there's some examples of this. We'll go through a few examples now, but this is how customer service can be taken to actually define yourselves in the market. Nordstrom's over in the USA, for example, they're amazing. We would go there regular. It was actually programmed into my GPS on my truck when we lived over there. And we went there once. We go regular to this fabulous shop. And we're walking in, Lynn and I, and Lynn's only tiny, and walking across the sales floor. And there's a guy walking towards us. And he didn't say anything. He obviously clearly works there. And he looked at Lynn, looked at her shoes and went, "You're a size 3." I think it was size 3. "You're a size 3." And walked off. That was it. Nothing else, no selling or anything like that. And of course, and guess what? Lynn is a size 3. So, oh, how do you know that? Anyway, we were looking around and he said, "Is it a party you're going to, or is it an event?" So it's not like, "We're going to go to a party." Fabulous, that's great. And then he starts a conversation with Lynn, and he said to me, "Look, you're not interested in this. You go and sit over there in the corner. There's a TV, there's some magazines, there's some cookies and coffee. You go and sit there and watch the ball game. I'm going to take Lynn over here and we're going to sort these party shoes out." And it was just amazing. There was no hard sell. It was very gentle, very nice, and it was great. And remember it. That type of thing is how the relationship comes from. It's a USP, not just to be, good at customer service, be so good that it defines you in the market. It becomes something that people talk about when you're not there. That's a real opportunity. So a couple of examples for that. This is one called the Cheesecake Factory over in the US. Again, because customer service is so strong over there, these guys, you go there for a meal and it is the service is amazing, the food is amazing, the portions are amazing as well, but nothing is too much trouble. And it's one of those things, you remember these experiences not just for the food, but for the context in which it's delivered. If you ever go to the USA, go to the Cheesecake Factory. I don't think they have any over in Europe. I don't think there's any of these outlets over in Europe. It is truly an experience to go there. And I remember we would go there. I lived over there for a few weeks by myself, and I'd go there for an evening meal or something like that occasionally. And when you're in the US, to start your meal, they will say, "Would you like soup or would you like salad to start as an appetizer?" Well, being English, when they would come over with this American accent, as I would call it, they would say soup or salad. And I would go, "Yes, please, that would be great." I thought that it was super salad, which meant a very good salad. I didn't hear soup, or I heard super salad. So every start I would go for a meal would be, I get the soup, I get the salad. Fantastic. It was all very, very good. Took a friend there, a colleague, an American friend, and she said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Something about the super salad." "No, it's not super salad, it's soup or salad." And I didn't know, but they hadn't told me that. They didn't charge me more for it. It was just there. It was done. They're probably sniggering about it in the kitchen or something. It was just great. The whole experience was amazing. When you talk about Cheesecake Factory, people know about it. They talk about the food. They talk about the experience they had. It's welcoming, warm, engaging, friendly, supportive, and it's just great. That is how they've defined themselves in the market, through their food, but through their service as well. So the service starts even before the product is delivered. This little screen, I'm going to share a screen print with you. I had it's a true story. I had a tooth crack about a week ago. Broke a tooth and it went down to the nerve. It was really, really quite painful. So I thought, well, I'll go into Luxembourg. I want to get this fixed real quick. So I went onto Google, found a dentist. It was supposed to be an emergency dentist up in Luxembourg. And I clicked on their booking page and this turned up and it said, "This page isn't working." And it's like, crikey. So I Googled it again, make sure I pressed the right buttons, go and book online, book myself in, page not working. So what did I do? Did I persevere with that company, that organization, and go, "Oh, I'll drive up there, I'll phone them"? No, I moved on, went somewhere else. I found another portal that worked because I was in a hurry. I was in pain for a start. But the service starts before people walk into your store, before they place an order, collect the goods, or engage with you. The service relationship starts on social media. It starts on email. It starts how your phone is answered. It's one of those things that you have to go all the way back to everything the organization does, not just the customer service end, all the communication styles as well. So I found this page isn't working. I found somebody else. So be aware. Customer service starts way before the customer actually turns into your showroom. The challenge is, of course, if it goes wrong, they never actually get there. They never get to your company. They never speak to your salespeople. They never buy a product. They never become a client because the context in which you treat them turned them off early on in early doors. So watch out for that. Make sure everything is stacked up and goes with you. So, for example, the question I ask people, and you need to check this for yourselves as well, maybe. If I phone your company now, your organization, what happens? What happens to me? How quick does the phone get answered? Does it ring? Does it go through to a, your call is important to us and we'll be with you in like 3 weeks time, and some sort of holding pattern? The number one frustration you see within financial services and high street banks, for example, you phone up your bank and what happens? Nothing, because you're sat there waiting for the phone to get answered, or you phone your mobile phone operator. Your call is important to us. All our agents are busy right now. Your call's not important to them. They don't care. They've got you as a client. They don't care. That's it. You're done. You're away. You try and cancel a contract with a mobile phone company. You try and do that. Really, really difficult. Bad reputation. Not great. So if I phoned you, what would happen? If I emailed your company, what would happen? If I send an email to your organization, what happens? I go through your website and info at, and I email you. What happens? Do I get a response? I'll test it. I've tested with people before where I go onto their website, I send an info at email. Hi, just interested in a brochure on your products. Can somebody arrange someone to give me a call? Nothing happens at all. We're doing a renovation job on this, a cottage here in France. We need some new windows. We're going to replace all the windows on the front and the back of the house. I went onto the websites of these double glazing companies and put up info, email, in French. French is pretty good. Did that in French, looking for a quotation for these windows. Can somebody give me a call back? Sent out 10 of those. How many came back? 2. Only 2 responded. Now, they may think their customer service is really, really good when they get the contract and when they get the order, but they're not getting enough people coming through because they're putting people off before they get there. What happens with your organization? You can try it out, do a mystery shop. Really, really interesting. When I walk into reception at your organization, what happens? Is reception warm and engaging and friendly, attentive? Can I meet with people? What happens to me? This is where the decision is made, whether I begin to engage or I stay engaged. And I also depends what I put on social media as well. If I do you a message on Facebook, what's your Facebook presence? Have you got a Facebook presence? Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, not just the organization, but individuals within it as well. If I send your CEO a message on LinkedIn, for example, what happens to that message? Does anybody receive it? Does she look at it? Does she respond to it? Or does it just get lost in the ether? Because that's how reputation and service starts, way before the transaction is actually made. So again, these are things to watch out for as we develop the structure of the customer service within the organization. It's relationship versus transactional. We're in the relationship business. That's what we are. We're all in the relationship business, whether we work for a big bank, a large organization, corporates, or a little shop on the corner or a cafe. We're all about relationships. Too many organizations are very, very strong on the transactional side of things, weak on the relationship side of things. And also remember, what we're looking for is the wow factor. Wow, that was amazing. And you can imagine, if I say to people, tell me an example where you had wow customer service. Most people have got 1 or 2 examples of that. I mean, it doesn't happen every day. I've got the wow customer service with the clerk at Kreuzfeld, bless them. Oh, very, very good. It's great. Not very, very nice touch. Happens occasionally, but it's not regular enough. What is your organization doing? How are you measuring and monitoring and encouraging the wow factor? What is it that people are saying about you online as well? Where's the wow factor coming from? So how can you measure that? For a larger organization, you need a method of measuring that. And what I would recommend and suggest you have a look at is this. It's called the Net Promoter Score. There's a book here called The Ultimate Question, Fred Reichheld. It's a fabulous book. It talks about the Net Promoter Score system. I'm going to explain it in a minute or two now, but it is a very nice, elegant way of measuring how people are feeling about your organization. And it's been taken over now by lots and lots of organizations use it, and you may recognize it. You can get it in sort of restrooms now when you have to press the smiley face as you leave. There's a happy face, a plain face, and a sad face, trying to get some response from people. Slightly extreme, I would have thought, but still. But the ultimate question is simply this. You ask your clients and customers, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer us to one of your colleagues or friends or associates? That's pretty much how the question is phrased. And then you fill a box in. On a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10, how likely is it you're going to refer us to one of your colleagues and colleagues? And you see these questions come through regular. Lots of organizations use these, from car hire companies to Apple to the supermarkets, to lots and lots of organizations use it. That's what they're doing. So when you get this question being asked of you, they use net promoter score. Now, how it works is, if I give you a score, and let's say I give you a 9 or a 10 over here on the green side. That's what we call promoters. Those are the promoters I want to do here, 9 or 10 over here. If I give you a 10, you get a +1 tally for that. If I give you a 7 or an 8, you get a 0 score for that. If I give you a 1 to 6, you get a -1. So if you get 100 questionnaires go out, you could get -100, between 1 and 6, or -100, or you get +100. And the score sheet goes from -100 to +1. So what you get is a score based on the average scores of all your customers and your clients. It's very, very harsh. You only get a positive score when you get 9s and 10s. You get nothing for a 7 and 8. You get 0 for that. Anything below that, you get, these are detractors, people who don't like you. You get a -1 score. And what you can do then is you work out your net promoter score, and what are people thinking about you on the basis of the consequence of your levels of customer service. Lots of organizations use this this type of approach, and the beauty of it is, if I show you on the next page here, then you can look at the average scores for different sectors in the world. So here you can see architecture, banking, building services, insurance. The net promoter score here on the right hand side, architecture 64, at the bottom software development 44 down here, and all things in between. So you can benchmark your organization against not just your competitors, but best in the world as well. So the people who do well at this, these sort of the scores, no real surprise that here's some of the scores of well-known companies. Apple at the top, 78%. Very high score. People love Apple. They just love the product. They love the components. They love the service. Therefore, they're loyal to it, and they would refer them to other people. Now, you can spot this. If you say to somebody, what phone have you got? Are you Android or Apple or iPhone? What happens? Well, they're like a group of disciples, because all the iPhone gang. Yeah, we've got iPhone. They're amazing. They're wonderful. They're fantastic. They're better than Android. Now, I don't know if they're better or not. The belief is there. It's better. So you want to upset an Apple buyer, tell them Android's better, see what happens. But 78%. Amazon 71. Then you can go eBay, Facebook, Google, because they measure this net promoter score. This is what people are saying about them in terms of referring them. This is the scores they've got. We come down here then to AT&T, 9%. Now you can get a negative score. People get negative scores of people. Some of the cheap supermarkets, they don't really care. They're not going to refer somebody to a cheap supermarket, but they go on price only. So you can get a negative score. But you can Google and find out what other people are doing with this scoring system. Use it yourselves and benchmark. I've got clients who are using the net promoter score as a KPI. This month, this quarter, we want to get our net promoter score from X amount to X plus 5%. How good have you got to be to get 9s and 10s? How good have you got to be to get that wow factor? And it's a real focus for management and leadership to get the team to be able to operate and deliver the promise. And we'll look at some of the tactics of doing that as well. But how good have you got to be to get consistent 9s and 10s such that your net promoter score comes out equivalent with Apple? Interestingly, Apple, not everybody loves Apple. They're not getting 1s, 9s and 10s from everybody. They've got space for improvement as well. One of the most iconic brands that has the highest level of loyalty in the world is not Apple. It's actually Harley Davidson. I used to own a Harley Davidson bike. I was over in the US. I bought it over here as well. And Harley Davidson riders are extremely loyal. I mean, they're crazy loyal. And they have they're one of the few companies, there aren't many out there, one of the few companies where people will tattoo the brand on their arm or their shoulder. They have the Harley Davidson brand on their arm. I'm not sure many people do that with Apple or Amazon. I'm not sure. They're not as loved, but there's huge loyalty out there. So Harley Davidson a very, very good motorbike? Well, it is, but it's, they're a bit dated. They've got to do some catching up now, basically, and they are doing. But they're not, they're not the best bikes in the world. They're incredibly noisy. They've got a fabulous feel to it. They're stunning machines. But yeah, they up there with the other bikes in the world, not so much, not really. They need some catching up to do. I love Harley Davidson. Don't shoot me down for this one, okay? But then you can compare yourself to Harley Davidson, for example. So the Net Promoter Score is a very nice way of finding out what your clients are saying about you. What are you getting on your Google responses and your Google testimonials? What are you getting letters of recommendation? Are you getting referrals come through from people all the time? Our business is based on 80% referrals. 80% of our business is based on referrals, because I want people to say nice things about us and refer people to us, and away we go. It means my marketing spend is very, very low. So we've got to be very, very good, very consistent. That's my plan. Perhaps you'll let me know. And I want people to go, this guy's pretty good. He seems okay. Let's, talk to Dave. He'll sort you out. Talk to Becerra. She does a great workshop. This is all very good. And we work with like-minded people. So Net Promoter Score, interesting way of measuring it, get some tangible benefits and outcomes from it. Not just it feels good, you can measure that it's good, and then you can watch your number of transactions increase, your profitability, gross margin, that type of thing as well. But a loyal customer base is key, because we need this out there in the market, because we now have the social media out there. People will say things about you, your organization, your company. It could be TripAdvisor. It could be anywhere you like. You're going to get scored and get rated, and we need things to be positive. People look on social media. They look for reports. They look for feedback. They look for, a transactional report. How is it working with you? We're looking to buy, say double glazing for new windows for the cottage here. Well, how do you buy double glazing for your house? You ask around. Who do you know? Wait, if you want to find an electrician for your house or a plumber, what do? You ask. Do you know any good plumbers around? Do you know any good electrician? We take word of mouth as very, very strong. That's why people need to think about you first. Whatever it is you do, have positive things in their mind about you, because social media will judge you. And if you're certainly if you're in the restaurant and the hotel business or the travel business, my goodness, you have to be so, so careful. And I've seen some, very unfortunate posts, people get things wrong. It's just horrible, but you have to be so careful with it as well. So social media will judge you. Net Promoter Score is a great way of measuring it as well. So an example of how you can make a USP out of customer service is I did some work with a kitchen installation company. Now, if you've ever had a new kitchen installed in your home, it's pretty expensive. There's loads of people out there will do it. You can do it yourself. You can get a plumber, a chippy to come round, get a company to come round, all sorts of things. My client was one of the top end of the market, bespoke kitchens with granite and oak and all this sort of beautiful kitchens, but he kept on losing out on price, because it was expensive. It was sort of 50, 75, 100,000 for a kitchen. And people didn't see the value in it. They just couldn't see it sometimes. So his conversion rate was running at about 1 in 3. Every 3 quotations that he did, he only got 1, which is hugely expensive, because a lot of marketing and sales activity, and he was only winning 1 in 3. So a lot of money going on marketing. So how can we turn customer service into a USP that transforms that conversion rate? And what we did, we came out with a thing called the Rule of 48. So you have this kitchen installed in your house, and it cost you, I don't know, 50 grand, 75 grand, wherever it was. As it's all being fitted and finished and tested, all is good. The installation team, who would wear overalls, and everything's very, very clean, take the shoes off, they clean the house, they clean the floor, they clean the kitchen. Their place is better when they leave than when they got there. As they leave the house, having completed the installation, they give the homeowner a key on a little key ring, a little kitchen's key ring thing, and they go, what's the key for? Hold on to the key, and we'll be in touch. Okay, so they hold on to the key, and so I'm intrigued. What's this key all about? So they hold on to the key. Then they had this thing called the Rule of 48, and what it was you give the key to the client. 48 hours later, you call the client and say, look, finish the install. Is everything okay with the kitchen? Have any of the hinges dropped or something cracked or moved, anything at all that you're unhappy with, just to check they're happy with the kitchen installation. Anything that was wrong with that kitchen, anything wrong at all, they guaranteed to be there within 48 seconds to fix it. And of course, we had this discussion when we were sort of setting this thing up. I said, well, how can you be there within 48 seconds? That's ridiculous. You could, be miles away. How can you be there within 48 seconds? Well, you park your van outside the house on your cell phone, you phone them. If there is a problem, I'll be there within 48 seconds. You get your tools going, you sort it. A 48-second response time. If there's nothing wrong with the kitchen, then something else happens. Anyway, so if there's something wrong with the kitchen, they go and they fix it and they come away again. If there's nothing wrong with the kitchen, they then just out of the back of the van deliver a big wooden box. It's a big, probably not a meter square, but 600 millimeters square cube box with a padlock on it, and the key fits the padlock. So you leave that outside the house, ring the doorbell, and away you go. And of course, they get to the front door, I've got this box sat there, they open the padlock. Inside the box is a big thank you card. Thank you for buying your kitchen from XYZ Kitchens. There's some chocolates, there's a bottle of champagne, and some cards to give to your friends. Anybody you know might like a kitchen just like yours, please feel free to pass around our details. Now, what happens when people get that box delivered to them? Who do they tell? You receive a box on your doorstep full of champagne and chocolates and all this sort of thing. Who are you going to tell? Well, you can tell everybody about it. You can tell your friends, your family, your work colleagues. You won't believe what happened. You can stick it on Facebook. Here's me. Look what arrived. But you're not going to tell people about the kitchen. You're going to tell people about the box, because it's not the kitchen that sells the service. It's the context in which it's delivered. So we systemize and structure the level of customer service. Had to be very, very high quality, instant response, sorting out any problems. Then we give them a big thank you. And what happened was, when we send the box out there, that we will go 48 hours later if there's anything wrong with the hinges and that type of thing, the number of referrals that were coming through were amazing. Oh, your friend, you did a kitchen for my friend of mine, you go a box of champagne, we're interested, come through and talk to us. What we also found was, when we did at the next level, was we did a kitchen over, I think over 100,000, I think it was. They said, well, what we're going to do is, rather than give you a box of champagne, we're going to send a qualified French chef round to your house to cook in your kitchen for you and 8 of your friends, a full meal with drinks and wine and champagne, all that sort of thing. We're going to cook you a gourmet meal for you and 8 of your friends. Now, if you can afford a 100,000 euro kitchen or more, what can your friends also afford? Well, they can afford the same sort of thing. Now, you get your friends into a brand new shiny kitchen with a very good looking French chef cooking dinner for them. What do they want in their kitchen? They want the French chef. It's just an amazing experience. So wow, the inquiries come in again. The conversion rate went up to about 80%. So huge jump on in conversion rate. We dropped down our marketing spend because we're spending on these boxes, and it just transformed the business. So customer service can be designed so it is excellent in terms of the product, absolutely, and the context in which it's delivered in, but also adds a real sparkle and wow factor to things. So people have this expectation that they're going to get a really good job done, a really great service. So that's how you can do that in the kitchen business. Is the challenge: how could you do that in your business? How could you do that with what you do, or the equivalent of building the customer service context in such a way that it is so unique and such a wow factor that people tell everybody about it? You've gone to social media, there's videos, it's amazing. Then they pull people towards you, and that does your sales and marketing for you as well. That's how to get a USP to be so powerful. A couple of other examples for you. You may come across Zappos over in the US. They're a mail order company. Selling shoes online, basically. A guy called Tony Shea, he started the business actually in Las Vegas in his garage, and there's lots of videos out there about the Zappos approach. They were powered by service. That's it. The whole organization was powered by customer service, and they did, and you can find out how they did it. But the business grew from a garage in Vegas, and they sold it to Amazon. I think it was within 6 years, I'm going to say 1.2 billion cash. And I think Tony Shea, he went and worked with them, and he transferred over with the organization. So that's the benefit. They stood out from the crowd purely through service, customer service, and excellence. Look at how Zappos manage their team. Look at how Zappos have a culture, a vision, and a spirit, and they allow people to make these amazing decisions in terms of what they're doing customer service wise. That was the deciding factor in their business and their growth. So I recommend it. Have a look at zappos.com and look at their story. And Tony Shea, who I think I'm right in saying tragically passed on. I think he was in an accident, I think. But anyway, but Zappos and the whole storyboard, very, very powerful, very powerful. That's their offices over in Vegas. And in Luxembourg here, we have a company in the financial services sector, so very much more closer to home. And I've done some work with one of their senior executives, and these are their offices in Luxembourg. And without giving away all I don't know any of their secrets, but without giving away all the things, they deal with a lot of money. They deal in investments and funds and alternative funds, this type of thing. They deal with billions and billions of pounds and euros and investment from all sorts of markets. And what they found, even in that business, the relationship that people have with them is key to their success. They've achieved high dramatic growth. They have a high level of trust and reliance in the market, not because their products are particularly different from anybody else's. They're a highly compliant, structured, regulated organization, but the way they do it is different. The people are good to deal with. Trust, reliability, flexibility, creativity. They keep their promises. They say what they're going to do, and they do it. They deliver. They follow through. They do amazing things in terms of customer service, and that defines in the market. And therefore, these big funds choose to work with Altadomus, not because their product is particularly unique and special and different. I mean, it is, but not dramatically so. It's very highly regulated in the sector, but because how they deal with people, the service, trust, and reliability, they're achieving great things up there. And I know a couple of people that are working up there as well. Full credit to them. Amazing company with a very, very strong ethos. I see how they lead and manage their team, how they treat people. It is different and unique. And guess what? It shows up in their results as well. So that's how it can show up in an organization, and in any organization pretty much as well. So it can become a real USP in terms of defining you in the market. Okay, so I want to move on to step 3 now. Well, how do you do it, basically? We're going to take a break in a second or two. Any questions so far? Any questions so far? Please put it into the chat box, and I'll happily answer. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the recording. We're going to go away and have a break for like 10 minutes, natural break, and then we'll come back here at sort of 1:45 the hour, and we'll kick off again, finish up with the how do we do this, and go from there. So any questions, please type them in. If not, I will just pause recording, and I'll see you back here in what is about 12, 13 minutes. So see you soon, back here 1:45 the hour, and I'm going to have a quick cup of coffee, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Take care. I'll see you soon. Okay, so welcome back. Welcome back. Just make sure everybody else is back online before we excuse me, before we kick it off. Okay. So we've covered the first two. That's a second. Okay. Right, I think we'll launch back into it. So before we go into the final stage at step 3, are there any questions? Anything cropped up? What have you been thinking and having a coffee and that sort of thing? Is everybody happy to continue on? Any questions, please type it in, and I'll do my very best to respond. Again, if anything crops up after the workshop or anything like that, you have any questions, I'm sure if you ping Bisera an email, she'll let you know. You can always contact me and I can give you some clarity, that type of thing as well. Okay, so we've covered then stage 1 and stage 2, the benefits of it, what it means, how you do it, built in, not bolted on. Step 3 is really, how do you do it? How do you get this thing to come to life in your organization? How's it done out there, in the real world, if you like? And I think the first thing that has to be done is, well, what are your customer service expectations? Well, what do you want people to say about you as a consequence of dealing with you? Do you want people to be happy and wow factor and referring people to you, saying amazing things? Or doesn't it really matter? And it's a genuine question, because if you've got if you're a dominant player in the market and nobody can buy anything from anywhere else, then maybe you're not going to have the wow factor all the time. But the first thing is to define what your customer service expectations are. What can we do? What will I get? What will your clients get or experience as a consequence of working with you and dealing with you? For what we do, it's pretty straightforward, because they tell us. We speak with them on a regular basis. We meet with them in events and workshops. We get sort of an instant feedback. If you're not getting that from your clients and customers, it's done more remotely or delivered through your team, your network, and your people. Have to be really clear. And once you define what it is, what are the expectations of the customer service? What do you want it to look like? What do you want people to say about you? Then you really have to communicate it. It's teamwork. How do you get the team to deliver this promise for you? What do you have to do to get them to deliver? And I can give a couple of examples from my experience, both from my career, but also with my clients as well. This is where it falls down. I guarantee this is where customer service falls down, because they don't tend to support their teams in terms of freedom, of expectations, of rules and culture and spirit. What's it okay to do? What's it not okay to do? And they don't let people know what's going on. Therefore, there's a misunderstanding of expectations from both the team members and the management team, and also from the clients and the team members as well. I recall going to years ago now, for example, we went to a restaurant in Birmingham, where we used to live in the UK, and Lynn and I went to this restaurant. It was great. It was amazing. It was fabulous. What happened was, the guy who was serving the pasta and the pizza would come round and he'd say to me, he said, "Sir, the gentleman over there thinks your wife is very attractive, wants to buy her a glass of champagne. Is that okay?" So we looked around, and who's this guy? And all in the smile on his face. And he said to the guy over there that I wanted his autograph. I thought he was somebody famous. So he was sort of playing with the room. Everybody was engaged, like a big game, all this sort of thing. Very, very good, very clever, good fun. And we thought, this is amazing. This is brilliant. So we want to bring our friends here. So when we finished off our meal, before we left, we booked the restaurant for about 2 weeks ahead for a table for 10 people, hired a minibus, took some friends down there with us. And we were really, we were bigging this place up before we got there, saying, this place is amazing. It's, you won't believe what they do. It's really incredible. The food's great. The wine's great, but the experience is really fantastic. So we arrived there at this restaurant, walked in, all was good. The service was great. Sat down at this big round table, and the menus turn up, the aperitifs turn up, all very, very good. And we're looking around for this big guy who was there before to start the show, to make sure that, anyway, he wasn't there. Nothing happened. Now, the service was good. It was efficient. It was good. It was friendly and engaging and helpful, but it wasn't him. And I said to our server, where's the big guy? Where's the guy that was here a couple of weeks ago? Oh, she said, he's our corporate trainer. He goes around the group of restaurants and trains people how to deliver fabulous customer service. Where is he? Well, he's not here tonight. He's in Manchester. He's gone to the Manchester restaurant. And it was like, really? Now, they'd overcooked it, because he was so good. That experience was amazing. It was really good. Generally, it was fabulous. When he left, the team didn't know what to do. They couldn't duplicate it. They couldn't do what he was doing. Wrong personality, wrong levels of authority, different levels of experience, whatever it was, they weren't doing it. They just couldn't do the same thing. Now, when we noticed the service wasn't quite as good, it was adequate. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't his level. What we started to notice then was the food, because the food wasn't that great. The pizza was pizza, pasta was pasta, the wine was meh, it was all right, it was okay. Because that average food had been shrouded in amazing, fun customer service, we thought the whole thing was amazing, including the food. Because the service had reduced, the food was more mediocre as well, as average. And we've never been back, not because we don't like the place. I'm not going to name them, doesn't matter who they are, but they don't like it. Just it wasn't sparkly and bright. We didn't get the wow factor. We didn't get consistency. When people, people will, they want consistency. If I go somewhere and get an amazing service, I want it next time as well. This is where the franchises get so much kudos, because they systemize excellence. They're able to deliver the service, good, bad, or indifferent, but they deliver consistency of service. The reason people go to companies and organizations isn't just because the product's good or the service is good, because it's predictably good, predictably consistent. So be careful for that. If you're going to have amazing ideas around customer service and delivery and customer experience and wow factor, it's got to be consistent, and the team have got to deliver it. Don't overcook it. Don't bring some rock star in to go, this is how you do customer service, and expect your team to do the same sort of thing. The service has to be delivered in the style and the context that your team can deliver it. They choose it, they demonstrate it, and they feel comfortable with it, and then they can repeat it on a regular basis. So just be careful, don't overcook it. But teamwork is a real key, and communication. Let people know what the expectations are. Draw that pitch for them. What's the expectation, vision, mission, culture, and what are they allowed to do? What's an example of great customer service? When I was in the logistics business, my chairman would say to me, so we are in the customer service business. We do whatever it takes to get the job done. That was the one thing that really happened. I came from an engineering background, and a couple of stories for you as well. This is just how it shows up, and you can see maybe in your own organization, would this happen? Would you do this within your company? Would your team do this? So the first story is a quick story about the Burlington Hotel over in Ireland, just outside Dublin in Ireland. And I was probably in my late 20s, something like that, and I began my first operational management role, and I was based in Bristol. So we just moved down to Bristol. We've got two young boys. I think Richard was about 6 months old, and Jonathan was about coming up 3 years old. So two youngsters at home, and I was running a wood mill, a packaging wood mill in Bristol. And it came to Christmas Eve, and we're wrapping up the factory, shutting down for the week between Christmas and New Year. And everybody had gone home. It was about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening, and we're literally just locking the place up. And I'm sat in the reception area chatting to the security guard who's going to be there for the duration. And I'm about to go home and have the Christmas break. Anyway, the phone rang, and picked up the phone and this sort of thing. So, and then it was my chairman, Keith. He said, "Oh, hi, David. I'm glad I've caught you." Okay, yeah, hi, Keith. He said, "Look, David, I've got an opportunity for you." He said, "I want you to go from Bristol tonight, fly to Dublin, go to the Burlington Hotel, book yourself a room, stay there overnight, go to the Burlington Hotel restaurant on Christmas Day, because it's open on Christmas Day, pick up a copy of the menu, Christmas menu, have it signed and dated by the chef, and bring it to my office on the day after in the UK, what we call Boxing Day. That will be the 27th of December. Would that be okay?" Now, I was asked that question about 7 o'clock in the evening on Christmas Eve, about to go home. What do you say? Your chairman, your boss, phones up and says, "I've got an opportunity for you. Would you go and do this?" What are you going to say to that? Now, I asked this question at events and seminars and workshops, and I know now restrictions are a bit different about people working out of hours and contacting people, all this sort of thing. This was the old days to a degree, but the principle still applies. That question comes through. What do you do? What do you say? Now, I guarantee 90% of people say that they go, why? Why me? Why now? Can't it wait? Some blockage comes out for it. And I said, "Oh yeah, okay, I'll do it." And so he said, "Great, I'll see you in my office on the 27th," and put the phone down. That was it. No other instructions, no guidance was given. That was it. So I phoned Lynn. I said, "Look, Lynn, this has come through. I need to fly to Dublin tonight, Christmas Eve, and I'll see you lunchtime on Christmas Day when I'm back from Dublin." Anyway, Lynn knows me very much. Well, okay, so be it. I'll see you tomorrow, all this sort of thing. And off I went, got over to Ireland, stayed in the Burlington Hotel, picked up the menu, back over, dropped it off his office on the 27th. Didn't hear anything for about a couple of months, maybe 3 months after that, not about this situation. Anyway, then I got another phone call, and we're based in Bristol, which is in the southwest of the UK. Head office was in Cambridge, over on the mid-east of the country. So it's about a couple of 100 miles away. And Keith phoned me and he said, look, he said, I know you an explanation. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? And I'll give you a debrief on what happened about the menu from the Burlington Hotel. Okay, so I drove over there, got to head office bright and early in the morning, on time, and walked into the office, and Keith is sat there at his desk, and there's a guy sat just off to the side a little bit, I don't know who it is, and he said to me, look, he said, I do owe you an explanation. He said, I know this was a very unusual thing to ask you to do. He said, but I want to owe you an explanation. And what it turns out was the guy who was sat with him in the office was a representative of British Aerospace up in Manchester. And my chairman was quoting for a large contract, logistics contract, to do with some of the military aircraft we were dealing with. And the client had said to my chairman, look, loads of people can do what you do. You know, they all do the same sort of thing. You know, transport, packaging, distribution, logistics, all that sort of stuff. They do the same thing. He said, what is different about you guys? Why should I give you guys the contract? And Keith said, well, because whatever you ask us to do, we get it done. Doesn't matter what it is, we'll figure out a way, we'll get it done. So as a test, this guy from British Aerospace said to my chairman, right, here's the thing. I want you to get one of your guys to go and get a copy of the Burlington Hotel Christmas menu on your desk on the 27th. It was just a test, all it was, and I'd done it, and now was the time, and to sort of to cash it in, if you like. So first of all, we won the contract, we got the big contract, but the guy from British Aerospace in Manchester, he said, you can have the contract if that guy manages it. So I got a promotion out of that. We moved from Bristol up to Manchester, and we ran this a bigger operation up there for a while. It was all very, very good. But the difference was that we kept the promise. So to figure out what is your USP and give people the freedom to make these sort of choices and respond in a way that you can trust them. And I said to Keith, why did you choose me? I was a very inexperienced manager. I was only, how old would I be? I'd be about 27, 28. Why did you choose me? He said, I knew you'd say yes. I knew you'd go for it. He said, I know your style. I know your personality. I know what you like. And he gave me some time off and all this sort of thing when he made it worthwhile. He said, but I knew you'd say yes. He said, other people I would have asked would have gone, well, why does it have to be now? Lost the plot. Wouldn't have got it. He said, you said yes, you got it done, gave the opportunity to you, and okay, it came along. That was one of those defining factors from a career perspective personally, and maybe for you and your people in your team, but also from the organizational perspective, it was this thing, well, that's what defines us in the market. It's what makes us different, unique, and special, and we followed through with it. Now, what would happen if there's a similar situation in your organization? Not the same type of thing, but a similar level of a request comes through, something crazy, bizarre, unique, different and special. What would get said? Is it a yes, we'll do it? Is that the customer service ethos? Or is it why? Can we postpone it? Can we delay it? Because if it's why and can we delay it, that's like everybody does that. If there's a case of, yeah, we'll do it, we'll get on with it, make it happen for you, whatever it takes, within principle, within reason, then that's what defines you in the market. So what would happen to you or people in your team if that question got asked? So that's the Burlington Hotel one. And this happened again. You may remember, I don't mean to be on the call or watching this video, he's old enough to remember the Commodore games machines, consoles, the C64. This is back in the late 80s, sort of early 90s now. And we had the contract for distributing Commodore products from a big warehouse then. It was in Milton Keynes. And so I was the operations guy for this place. And again, one Christmas, what happens at Christmas, because all the parents, they want to buy a game system for their kids. They buy them through the catalogs, or they buy them from the stores. We were shipping out lorry loads of these things to all the high streets so they could deliver them and dispatch them for Christmas. Anyway, an order had come in for one of the mail order companies, and it hadn't arrived on Christmas. So we're in the Christmas Eve or Christmas afternoon, it was at lunchtime. A phone call came through, and it was received, and they said, look, can you Dave, can you sort this out? And it came through to me, and it was like, I was the only one there again. and it was I ordered this C64 for my son for Christmas. It hasn't arrived, and it's not on its way, and we're all very devastated, all this sort of thing. Anything you can do for us? So I checked on the system, and it turns out that the C64, it came with a joystick to control it, and some software and some games, this sort of thing. And it came as a package, as a bundle, as we used to call it. And unfortunately, one of the software titles was out of stock. Therefore, the whole thing was put on hold, waiting for the software to turn up so we could dispatch it in the new year. So I got this lady on the phone and said, look, this is it. I got the box, it's here, I can see it, but there's no one of the software games is not in the box, so we can't really dispatch it. She said, oh, well, anything you can do? I said, well, what we could do is I could substitute that software for something else. If you're happy for that, put another game in there, and I can get it to you. She went, yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be great. So anyway, so I thought, well, that's done it. So I've got to get it to her now. So I packed it up, got this thing off the shelf, put the software in it, and thought I'll deliver it. We couldn't get a courier, couldn't get a van. I'll deliver it. I had to go from Milton Keynes up to just outside Manchester, I think it was, which again is about 150 miles away, on Christmas Eve in the cold and the wet and the damp. So drove up to just outside Manchester with this box, got it to this lady's house about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, delivered it. Turns out that her son had been quite poorly in hospital, was fully recovered, all was good, all was okay, but wanted, this, what kept him going was this blooming games machine. So I was like sort of Father Christmas, knight in shining armor, saved Christmas for this family, and she was very grateful. Wrote a very nice letter, and was thankful to the company and all this sort of thing. All very, very good. But it builds that level of kudos. Now, it would have been easier for me, or anybody in the organization, to go, no, we can't do it. It's ridiculous to deliver one. We'd sent thousands of these things out. Why should I hand deliver one to you? But this is the whole principle of the customer service showing up in business, is that's what it takes sometimes to be consistently good, but also when something happens that needs a different approach completely. This is the way you can do it, by doing something extraordinary, going the extra mile, the extra yard, the extra meter, whatever you want to call it. Is your team prepared to do that? Is it within the DNA of your organization to enable them and encourage them to do that and reward them for it as well? And I'm not recommending you drive around the country late at night doing these sort of things, but it's one of those things that when you consider what customer service looks like, this is when it really shows up. It's doing something unique and different and special, consistent excellency, but occasional brilliance. That's what it really takes in making a difference out there. You can also make it visual when you're looking at your organization and your team, and for your clients as well, maybe. Can people see how the service is going? If you order a pizza from Domino's now, you can see online how the order is progressing. It's order placed, it's in prep, it's in the oven, we've boxed it, it's on the back of the bike, and it's on its way to your house. That's amazing. That's really cool. That's great. Does it make the pizza any better? Not particularly. I mean, Domino's pizzas are fine. They're all very good. But this sort of visibility of customer service, it saves people fretting about when it's going to arrive. They can see it's happening. It's on its way. It's a nice way of delivering, customer service. Do Domino's make the best pizzas in the world? I don't know. Maybe they don't. There are maybe better pizzas out there, but the context of this, you order it, trust and reliability, you can see what's happening. It arrives, your order was boxed for delivery at 12:37 p.m. Wow. 10 minutes it'll be here. Amazing. Away we go. That's very, very helpful. What can you do in terms of your deliverability, in terms of that visibility, so you know what's happening with your product and service, and it gives that level of trust and engagement to your clients as well. Very, very important. And also then really it's how do you measure it? How do you measure your levels of customer service and deliverability? We've got the Net Promoter Score system out there, but what else is happening out there? What is your conversion rate, deliverability, on time schedule, your back order schedule? What are people saying about you? How many referrals are you getting? And it really is to measure the softer things that surround your levels of customer service as well, because if you measure it, you can improve. If you don't measure it, you can't. Very, very straightforward. So really, what are your KPIs? How are you monitoring this? You're going to give degrees of freedom to your people and to your team, but we do need to know there's got to be a business context to this, about does it pay off? Why are you doing this? Because I've sat in board meetings and management meetings when I know somebody's done something amazing for a client or a customer, and people go, well, why? Where's the payoff for that? And it's difficult to justify it in the short term. In the long term, it's easy. Reputation, visibility, all that sort of thing, but have some tangibility to what are you going to measure? You have to have this consistent excellence that is repeatable. Remember the restaurant with the Italian restaurant we went to. If you're going to do excellence once, you've got to do it on a number of times. Be consistent, and you've got to be able to measure that and be, and manage it and get people to deliver it on a consistent basis. Training is key as well for your people too. What are the expectations? So what are your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and then what are you going to reward people for? People will follow where you reward them to go. They just will. So you're going to reward excellence. Don't penalize people doing things that are amazing for your clients and your customers, but reward excellence, reward customer service. And that's what people follow, go where you show them. And again, I think it's something that shows well on social media. It shows well on your balance sheet as well. But, encourage people to do these things and be creative. When it comes down, for example, for the culture of the organization, if your organization is structured around customer service values and culture, we'll bring it to life. We would have the conversation in the management team would be, this week we're discussing this particular point of culture, this particular value. How have we brought this to life in our organization? What have you done to demonstrate this? Who's going to nominate one of the team members for excellence this week or this month for really holding up these values of customer service and focus? Bring it, have to bring it all to life. And for a lot of organizations, I find that they don't have these conversations. It goes all the way back to the poster in reception, and that's where it stays. There's no real movement from it. So reward people well, and also give them the freedom of choice as well, the freedom to get things wrong. Customer service is a risk, because you have to adapt what you do on a daily basis slightly. There's a base level of customer service expectations, but based on customers and clients, you do something slightly different, with one client than another one. Not beneficial particularly, but just different because it suits their type and their style. And you see this in retail, you see it in restaurants, you see it in the banks and financial organizations. We want something that's unique and bespoke and tailored for us, not just a script that people are reading. Give your team the freedom of choice to send that plane to Alaska with $20,000, if you like. It's the equivalent to that. What can they do to make people's day, to actually make the job happen, make the work, make the deliverability work in such a way that they can choose? Because here's what happens. If you go to an organization, and I'm speaking to somebody and I say, I've got this problem with this is stuck, that's wrong, what can you do? And they say, I need to refer it up to my manager. I need to go and take advice on it. It's like, crikey, here we go. Relationship's gone. If they've got the freedom within reason to make the decision to go, you know what, we'll do this. Here's the ham. It's stuck on the checkout. You know what? Have the ham. It's absolutely fine. It's our gift. Great. That's it. Have them that freedom of choice. But you've got to let them have the freedom, and you'll let them exercise. You've got to trust them as well that they're going to do a great job for you. Use their initiative. Make these decisions with the best interest of the clients at heart, and the best interest of the organization as well, and trust that it shows up in terms of margins, number of transactions, loyalty, referrals, introductions as well. And it will, but it takes time. And this is where the accountants get involved, and they don't like it because these sort of things don't make sense on a balance sheet. They make sense overall, but short term they don't. It's a long-term view that we need to take. So before I go through more points, any questions? Is it all making sense? Any questions at all? Because we've got some more content to go through, but I'm happy to go off and complete the conversation with any questions that you may have. Just please type it into the fabulous. Thank you very much. That's excellent. Good to know. Good to know. So I hope it's making sense. I'll take that as I'm okay to continue. Good. Thank you for the feedback. All is good. So freedom of choice, independence, and then have the refresh and review feedback. sit down and review and discuss these things. In what we do, we look at what are we getting back from clients? What are they saying about us? What's the mood out there? What feedback do we get when we do a client meeting or a sales presentation? And I encourage this with all my other clients as well. Get feedback from the customers. Net Promoter Score is a very, very good place to start, but get amongst it, get the CEO down on the sales desk, get the CEO down there speaking to their clients, doing the day-to-day things, making the burger, whatever it is. Get the whole team involved. The senior management should be down there with the customers as well, understanding what it's like, what the clients are looking for. Get the managers on the phone as well. Don't just leave it to the team. Everybody gets involved with this. And you stand back and say, look, this is what we're noticing out there in the moment. We're noticing that people are demanding this or requesting that. This is the common. How do we get over this? How do we move this forwards? How do we get to the point where our customer service is so good that people are getting a wow factor? Feedback from everybody is key. And the best people to get feedback, you want to find out how an organization is working, speak to the guy on reception. He'll tell you how it's going. This is how communication works. Find out what's happening out there, speak to the clients, get involved with them, and take their feedback. Now, something's going to smart a little bit, because it's going to be not what you want. You get some negative feedback. We get negative feedback sometimes. We have to take it on board. Now, two things with negative feedback. Is it feedback that is applicable to that one particular customer only, that we don't need to worry about for the rest of our clients, but they need some TLC, some tender loving care? Or is it something we need to take on board and then change our approach such that it's affecting all of our customers and clients? There's two types of it there, but get very, very close to your clients. If you're in the customer service business, then we've got to be in the customer service business, and actually everybody speaking with clients. I would have, my chairman would come with me on sales meetings. He'd just say, tell him I'm a designer or something. You want to come along and meet the customer, have a walk around the factory, and just see what we're getting up to. And I've done the same. I've gone with, women at a transport company. I'd jump in the van, I'd drive the van sometimes, go and meet the customers, meet the clients, get amongst it, see what happens. Great way of getting some real good feedback is to get amongst it, get the senior manager to get amongst it as well. Don't let them sit in this sort of ivory tower. Get them out there, get amongst it. And then we want to innovate, do things different. Elon Musk, who I've got a lot of time for Elon Musk. I think he's one of these sort of true geniuses that is out there. And he says, innovate faster, get quick with innovation. All the patents, for example, for Tesla are open source. Public, anybody can get the Tesla design specs and the patents. And what he said was, if you don't, the only reason you do patents is so you can slow down. Innovate faster, get good with new things as they come along. And this is another lesson for us to think as well, in terms of technology, the markets, social media, products and services. Everything moves at a heck of a pace. What worked 12 months ago doesn't work now. It really doesn't. It doesn't work now. Things have changed. The old saying, which was, do what you always did, get what you always got, doesn't apply, because you do what you always did, you get less than you used to get, because things have changed, moved around you. Innovation is key. Risk taking is key, and the challenge to do something different. I see these things all the time out there. I see how they work. It's not a case of, I don't think we have a choice to do it. I think we've got to do it. We have no choice. Innovation is key. We've got to maintain and change and adapt our levels of customer service, but that's the challenge and the opportunity for us as well. So that's a run through. Are there any questions you'd like to ask me? Because we've covered most of the content now. Normally we have a discussion and a breakout and that sort of thing, but any questions you'd like me to sort of refocus on, to refresh or explain again, that would help bring more sense to the content? If there's anything, just type it in, because we've pretty much covered the content through, and to say it's really then time to respond and have a discussion. If you'd like to have a discussion, please, you're welcome to unmute or type in any questions you have, and I'll refresh. It's really the trick is how do you take these principles and ideas, the net promoter score and the vision, mission, culture, rules of the game, and apply it to your own organization. That's the real key. So if you have any questions around actually bring it in there, what's worked, what hasn't worked, how does it fit, just type it in and I'll happily go and answer the question for you. So I'll give it a couple of minutes just for you have a think about any questions you may have. It must be making sense because there's no questions, which is good. I hope it has made sense. So the recording for this will be available. It'll be on YouTube. I have an ebook that I will send to Becerra as well, and a copy of that DISC personality profile you're welcome to have a look at as well. If you want any more details on the DISC personality profiles, you can Google it. freediscprofile.com, all very good. Email me and we'll get some information over to you. But for now, I hope that's been of interest and helpful and relevant for everybody listening and watching. Thank you for your time and participation. Great to be with you, Becerra. Thank you for organizing so well. And I'll save the recording. Let me just stop recording now. There we